Historic victories for the American people. The radical left Democrats and the failed Washington establishment are trying to erase your votes, nullify the election, and overthrow our democracy. Not going to happen. Don't worry about it. I wouldn't lose too much sleep over it.
Hello folks, this is LT with And We Know, based off of the Bible verse Romans 8:28, my favorite Bible verse. Welcome back. It's been a great weekend all the way through the middle of the week with plenty of news to talk about. It's hard to keep up with. It's definitely, with this program, we're going to fill it with a bunch of light, a lot of great things that we noticed. Speaking of light, the new Patriot Brother X2020 flashlight model is here. Never waste money on batteries again. The Patriot flashlight is solar powered with the new extended 3000 mAh powered battery. It's powered by the sun. Lights up by the darkest of nights with the new powerful 800 lumen flashlight that can be seen miles away. Life-saving emergency strobe light setting along with 4 more unique lighting modes, and you can charge your phone anywhere with the USB port. Get your World Patriot flashlight today. Click in the description box below. PatriotFlashlight.com. Use promo code NO20 for 20% off. Now for And We Know news.
In many respects comes down to 8 lines in a call transcript. Let me say clearly and unequivocally that the answer to that question is no. The record in the Democrats' impeachment inquiry does not show that President Trump abused the power of his office or obstructed Congress. To impeach a president who 63 million people voted for over 8 lines in a call transcript is baloney.
We are at 221,000 on YouTube. Thank you. If you didn't realize this, you can go to my andweknow.com site, sign up on the email box for those emails telling you when these videos have been released. If you don't know, you can go to Twitter at AndWeKnow. You can connect with me there. A lot of great information to share on that platform. The first news of the day, Naval Air Station shooter wrote anti-American and anti-Israeli tweets before Rampage report. And so we had this link from Q3659 posted on Twitter prior to shooting. Calls to ban, remove Twitter. Calls to ban, remove 8chan for same reason. Congressional hearing? Why was there a coordinated effort to ban, remove 8chan? What was the reason? What was the real reason? Logical thinking. So many folks out there post different types of information on what they believe is the reason that 8chan is under attack. I like to call it Hachikun because it seems to have a Japanese name to it, 8kun. And so it seems like, of course, we know that it appears they want to take it down because they don't like that we're getting the truth straight from the president and his team. Every single time they post something, everybody goes in finds the information that needs to go out, and we work together to find out the truth. They're being exposed, and we're loving it. The next section, I just want to read from that article. The Navy identifies 3 sailors killed in the Pensacola shooting, and we've got a picture of 2 of them there. Ensign Joshua Caleb Watson, Airman Muhammad Sameh Haitham, and Airman Apprentice Cameron Scott Walters. These folks lost their life at the air station. Let's go to the next one. Here's one of the most evil folks on the earth. Where is George Soros? Q3658. Ukraine? Who else recently traveled to Ukraine? We're going to get to that. Panic is real. All hands on deck. And then he has a link to Merriam-Webster.com dictionary /evil, morally reprehensible, sinful, wicked. And that's a wicked person that we're looking at right there. We're going to talk a little bit about the wickedness, what in the world he was doing in Ukraine. So I did some research and found this. CNN happened to release a story following up with this Q post. It seems like they're trying to cover their tracks and try to help their boy, their sick, satanic, evil Soros out. The Communist News Network put this guy out. And the headline is, what is George Soros doing in Ukraine? Patrick Gaspard, president of Open Society Foundations, debunks conspiracy theories involving billionaire George Soros and his activities in Ukraine. Source, Communist News Network. And so I can't play this because I'll get hit copyright. So what I did was I took notes from the interview. And it was amazing to watch it. And I'm going to put the link in the description box below for you to watch the brilliant way that this guy pulls all the talking points together and lays them out as a great liar. Very good at this, and amazed at his talent in being able to lie for Soros. I've been through public affairs training, did it in Maryland for the military, did a lot of stand-up in front of the media for different events at different military bases. We're trained in how to use talking points to dispel any type of rumors or anything that goes on around the military bases or events. And watching this guy, he's definitely good at what he does. He's a good liar. Reminds me of Satan, who's a deceiver and the father of all lies. And amazing that he comes across just sounds so convincing. So number one, started with Soros is Jewish. This is how he started it. Instead of answering the question that she brought out or the subject matter of why he went to Ukraine, he basically just wanted to talk about Soros and defend him. So it started with Soros is Jewish, who has survived the worst horrors, quote, of the 20th century, who have attempted to make a contribution to an open society, unquote. He said Soros is being lied about by the President of the United States. He also said authoritarians use propaganda to twist information to meet their own political needs. And then, quote, this is interesting, Republicans like John McCain were proud to work with George Soros behind the Iron Curtain, unquote. He also mentioned Rudy Giuliani's irresponsible behavior and Donald Trump's attacks. He also said these tactics by Giuliani are bizarre and sad. It's a tragic moment in our politics, according to this guy right here. He said also, number 7, they are given and free and open platforms on Fox News to carry on those attacks. He also mentioned at the last point I put here, they are deliberately trying to take attention from the fact that the President of the United States and his agents tried to use their leverage to coerce a foreign leader to interfere in U.S. elections. This is fundamentally what is at stake here. All of these distortions and anti-Semitism attacks from Rudy Giuliani and a whole host of allies will not dissuade Congress from what is at stake. Look at that face. What a great liar. What a great way of putting talking points together to not talk about why Soros is in Ukraine, because Q tells us there's panic in that one. Oh no. Let's go on the Communist News Network to keep our base happy. And that way all the conspirators that are out there on the Q board that are saying that something's going on, we've got to stop them. Let's send out our guy. Let's send out Gaspard. He'll cover for our tracks. We're going to make the president look bad and Giuliani look bad. Why talk about Giuliani? Well, let's go to that next one here. Notice that Reuters, somebody corrected me on how to say it, thank you. Ukraine lawmaker met Giuliani to discuss misuse of U.S. taxpayer money in Ukraine. This was released on December 5th, 2019. Kyiv, an independent Ukrainian lawmaker, said on Thursday he had met U.S. President Donald Trump's personal lawyer, that's Giuliani, in Kyiv to discuss the alleged misuse of U.S. taxpayer money by Ukrainian state bodies. What was interesting is to see that One American News was out there. It was absolutely amazing to watch it pop up on my Twitter feed and start watching these news updates. I'm going to put these from One American News Network, OANN.com. I'm putting the links in the description box below so you can watch these interviews that were done. And I'm going to show you one of those clips here in a second. ON exclusive, Yuri Lutsenko says Yovanovitch perjured herself before Congress. Remember her? The one with the Band-Aid on the hand and the one wearing the scarf with her message out to the folks letting them know she needs help. And she was ticked off because she was being called out for who she is. Another great liar. Let's go to the next one here. On Chanel Rion gives debriefing on Ukraine trip. We're going to watch that right here.
OAN investigates exclusive. One America's Chanel Rion flew to Europe to talk to additional witnesses who claim to have evidence proving DNC collusion and criminal activity by the Bidens. Here's her summary of that trip and a preview into part 3 of her series.
Having completed part 1 and 2 of my special OAN Investigates series debunking Adam Schiff's case for impeachment, the story quickly expanded. More witnesses were coming forward, but not everyone could come to us. So we went to them with Rudy Giuliani. Giuliani had come under fire recently by House Democrats who were accusing Giuliani of digging up dirt on Biden to derail Biden's presidential dreams, a claim debunked in part 1 and 2 of our series. First stop, Budapest. We arrived at Safe House 1, a snow-covered hunting lodge in the woods beyond the Hungarian capital. There we met Yuri Lutsenko, the former Ukrainian prosecutor general. Lutsenko has had a controversial reputation, especially in light of what appeared to be a flip-flopping feud with Rudy Giuliani about whether he thought the Bidens committed any crimes. He says the Bidens have, but the media twisted his words. Lutsenko brought with him a stack of official communiques to demonstrate how Ambassador Yovanovitch perjured herself in Adam Schiff's inquiry. Lutsenko urged for the U.S. to open an investigation into what his prosecutor's office found to be a long line of money laundering tied to the Bidens. Target 2, Viktor Shokin, the former prosecutor general Biden is alleged to have fired. OAN offered to fly Shokin out to a location away from Kyiv, but Shokin's health was not fit for travel due to what he says is an attempted poisoning. So we flew to Shokin in Kyiv. A compound was secured just outside the Ukrainian capital. We traveled once again in caravans surrounded by security. Mr. Giuliani had not stepped foot in Ukraine for roughly 2 years, but as the witness list grew longer, the mayor decided he would enter the country with us to meet these witnesses in person. Shokin testified how President Poroshenko walked into his office and told him Ukraine wouldn't get $1 billion in U.S. loan guarantees unless Shokin stopped investigating Hunter Biden. This ended in Shokin losing his position as prosecutor general. Our next witness was a member of Ukrainian parliament, Andrei Durkosh. Durkosh has opened up dozens of inquiries investigating the misappropriation of U.S. funds in Ukraine and how the U.S. embassy acted inappropriately in the process. Durkosh also showed us documents pertaining to 6 criminal cases in Ukraine involving the Bidens, contradicting the lemming media's claim that the Bidens are innocent of all crimes. Durkosh presented compelling documents and testimony debunking the saintly Biden's narrative. Inevitably, news leaked of our visit. The Ukrainian Minister of the Interior is reported to have been outraged at news of our visit, despite the fact that OAN paid for and arranged the trip. Media outlets speculated about the legality of Giuliani's presence in Ukraine. Within hours of news breaking of our presence in Ukraine, word came from sources in Kiev, roughly 1,000 troops were suddenly patrolling the city. No public statement was made on why. And as media started closing in on our location, security determined we needed to leave the country. 3 major testimonies taped and recorded. We chartered a midnight jet to Vienna and sped to the airport. We came upon an entourage of black Mercedes aligned along the terminal. Our security ushered us immediately away from the vehicles, and we were told Ukrainian oligarch Viktor Pinchuk was seen entering one of these vehicles. 2 other eyewitnesses claimed to have spotted George Soros, but we have not confirmed this. The reasons for their being at the airport as we were departing have not been determined. We believe at this time it was a coincidence. One American News concluded our trip with a stack of documents and hours of interviews that have confirmed not only are Democrats standing on the thinnest ice in Ukrainian history with their impeach Trump mission, but we may well have uncovered a much larger trail of Democrat crimes. OAN is assembling and verifying the documents associated with this international corruption scandal. Stay tuned for part 3 of this exclusive One American News Investigates series. Chanel Rion.
Thank you, Chanel Rion. I hope I said her name right. Absolutely brilliant from OAN. Really appreciate that channel. Also, we had a tweet from DocRock1007, number 43, OANN, and Rudy Giuliani interviewing Victor Shokin. Joe Biden was outraged. We seized Burisma assets. You don't have to believe me. Just look at the Joe Biden phone call transcripts. Let's watch a little bit.
Ian said, "You are a patriot of Ukraine. We need this $1 billion. We're at war, and if you are a patriot, you will close this case." My conversation with Poroshenko on this, Shokin says, was in a phone call. It was after we started seizing Burisma assets in Ukraine when Poroshenko called me and said, "Listen, this all has to stop already. Joe Biden's temper is overflowing. This seizing of Burisma assets," said Poroshenko, was the last straw. Shokin says Poroshenko then paid him a visit in his office, asking for Shokin's resignation. Shokin responded and asked, "Why do I have to go? I haven't done anything wrong. I'm doing my job. This is standard procedure. We have reason to freeze Burisma assets." And Poroshenko said, "Biden is angry about you freezing Burisma assets. I'll figure something out." We asked Shokin if this demand for a resignation was specifically because Biden had asked for it, or if there were other possible reasons. Shokin insists it was all Biden. Because of Biden, says Shokin. Everyone knew what was going on. Poroshenko told me directly that I had to step down as prosecutor general because of Joe Biden. Biden and leftist media claim Shokin was corrupt and inept and had to be dismissed, despite the fact that not a single charge of corruption has ever been raised or proven against Shokin to date. To this, Shokin shrugs. Shokin says people don't have to believe him. Just look at the transcripts. Biden's transcripts, that is. The transcripts of Biden's telephone conversations with Poroshenko, says Shokin, is where the truth will show itself. Americans must demand it. And if they do, they will see, broad as day, Joe Biden was illegally influencing foreign officials in order to protect his son, Hunter, and shield illegal money laundering activities. One American News verified on camera what Shokin has stated for months when he issued a stunning 12-page sworn affidavit to an Austrian court stating how Joe Biden was directly involved in interfering with active cases under investigation.
Just an amazing report. We love it, and that reminds us of this Q post recently, Q3472, 2019, year of the Boomerang. Everything they're accusing our president of is coming back right at him. Thank you, Rudy Giuliani, for what you're doing out there in the front lines. And even mentioned on Fox News, I did have that clip before, I didn't play it, of him actually saying that they would take him out for exposing their darkness and secrets. And you notice in that report right before that, she mentioned it looked like they were being trailed or landed at the same airport by Soros, but it wasn't confirmed. What in the world's going on? Why are they panicking? It reminds me of Esther in the Bible, who was appointed for such a time as this, As Haman had the gallows prepared for the people, he had the king sign the documents so that they would all be taken out. And it came back to get him as Esther exposed their wicked plan. Haman thought he had it to the very end. Everybody warned Haman, stop, you're going to get caught. God seems to be with him. And all of a sudden, it all turned when Esther exposed their dark lies, and he was taken out by the gallows built for the people he wanted to take out. Outstanding. What we're seeing is definitely biblical. Stand by for the future on that. We had QPost 3661. Never has a president left office to collude with others to impede the next sitting president of the United States of America until this guy. I hate saying his name, Obama. Can't stand it. Makes me sick. Ask yourself a very simple question. Why? The why will be publicly answered soon. Dark to light. Q. Let's get to that. So we had the justice.gov review of 4 FISA applications and other aspects of the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane investigation. Several folks go into this document, expose many of the things that are in there. I enjoy at Tracy Beanz, TracyBeanz, as she goes through her thread on Twitter. I put that in the description box below, and goes through what she found immediately after it was released. A great information piece there. Some of the things I'll mention on that is Devin Nunes said American people will finally learn the truth that the Steele dossier was in fact used in the, I'm going to say his name, Obama administration's intelligence community assessment. Obama's dossier. Now I like putting those two words together. Patrick Howley said, the Howley Reporter, I'm going to talk about him in a second. So Obama, number one, wanted McCabe to give him everything he had on Russia, page 179. He got privately briefed by Comey in Situation Room, page 77. He told the FBI in July 2016 to do defensive briefs, quote unquote, 77. Also, number 4, made requests that led FBI to disseminate Steele dossier to intelligence community on page 177. Now, this guy, the at Howley Reporter, went through step by step, exposing many of the things that he saw that are causing a lot of pain. Of course, we know, guys, if you watch the mainstream media, they're going to pick and claw and try to get everyone to not pay attention to all of the crazy evidence that's in there to show that Obama is definitely sick and what he was doing to our president. I'm going to play this.
Another story continues to unfold surrounding the son of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Well, the Ukraine scandal revealed the Biden family's ties to the country. The less told story surrounding Paul Pelosi Jr. that's still unraveling on the sidelines following revelations that he was a board member of the Ukraine oil company Viscoil, an executive for NRG Lab. Well, America's Rachel Asena's caught up with journalist Patrick Cowley, who's been covering the story of the House Speaker's son. Take a look.
I wanted to follow up with you because you've been covering this Paul Pelosi Jr. story and his business ties to Ukraine. So, Patrick, what, if anything else new has since emerged from this particular story?
Well, Rachel, thank you so much for having me. Paul Pelosi Jr. is now under fire from a new set of allegations. A woman named Karina Feng, who is the daughter of a legendary Chinese healer and acupuncturist in San Francisco, did an interview with me in which she accused Paul Pelosi Jr. and his associates, and she's now suing him, of ripping off the title and stealing her father's former property. This property is now a drug house. It's a den of prostitution, and she's claiming that Paul Pelosi Jr. defrauded her out of this property. She's also claiming that Paul Pelosi Jr. forced her to have an abortion and also weaponized Child Protective Services in order to intimidate her and get her children taken away when she reported him to the city of San Francisco for fraud.
Thank you, Patrick Hawley. Absolutely amazing reporting. And one of the things I noticed is how young these reporters look. It's great to see these young folks out there getting the truth out, doing a great job in exposing these folks. Boomerang coming right back at them to Pelosi's family also. I want to go into something I noticed from Operation Freedom on YouTube by Dave Janda. He interviewed Lieutenant General Tom McKierney. Let's go through another boomerang effect as we get closer and closer to the truth on this. Let's go back to it now.
But that's why the rush to impeachment. It's all a fog of war. It's deception. And the mainstream media, who is complicit with this.
Yes, they are.
And it's extremely important. As are, now let's get this, who else is complicit? The Speaker of the House. The Chairman of the House Intel Committee.
Schiff.
The Chairman of the Judicial Committee.
Nadler.
Nancy Pelosi. Those three people are complicit in a coup d'etat in treasonous activity against the United States.
And truly,
as Jonathan Turley said, when he testified, you, meaning the House, are the one that is abusing the Constitution, not President Trump.
As Jonathan Turley said, you are guilty. So I went out and I found that clip. It was hard to find, but here we go. We're going to play this Turley clip that the general right here, Lieutenant General Tom McKierney, is talking about. To become a lieutenant general, absolutely a brilliant feat. 3 stars. Here we go.
Because a court issues an order, and unless they stay that order by a higher court, you have obstruction. But I can't emphasize this enough, and I'll say it just one more time. If you impeach a president, if you make a high crime and misdemeanor out of going to the courts, it is an abuse of power. It's your abuse of power. You're doing precisely what you're criticizing the president for doing. We have a third branch that deals with conflicts of the other 2 branches. And what comes out of there and what you do with it is the very definition of legitimacy.
He just chewed them out. Jonathan Turley is the constitutional law professor at George Washington University. Do you think you got by with that? Do you think that the libs and the Dems are just super tolerant and just accept anything that is thrown at them? Oh, they can't handle it. Let's look at this. Who would shoot a golden doodle? GOP impeachment witness says death threats against family include dog, by John Gage. Law professor Jonathan Turley said his wife and dog receiving death threats after he was a Republican witness for impeachment hearings held by the House Judiciary Committee. The George Washington University professor made the comment Monday while on CBS after host Norah O'Donnell noted that he had received a lot of death threats. And my wife and dog, Turley told the host. Who would shoot a golden doodle? Who would do that? Maybe a Shih Tzu, but not a golden doodle. I don't understand where the anger comes from. Although, as an academic, the thought that you could talk about James Madison and that would be fighting words is something I haven't seen outside of law school. During impeachment testimony last week, Turley referenced both his wife and dog, saying both were mad, just like the rest of the country. I get it. You're mad. The president is mad. My Republican friends are mad. My Democratic friends are mad. My wife is mad. My kids are mad. Even my dog seems mad. And Luna's a golden doodle. They don't get mad, he said. Absolutely sick what they're doing to him for pointing them out and their faults and how sick they are, these satanic Democrats. Here we go. Let's look at another person that really just got me upset after watching this. Let's take a look.
So Rudy's not allowed to make these phone calls?
No, he certainly can. But here's what I would tell Adam Schiff. Do you really want to start calling other members, Republicans, members of Congress in oversight? Do you want me to call you to the Senate as part of Senate oversight? Where does this insanity?
Will you call him?
I will not.
Why?
Because I'm not going to participate in things I think will destroy the country. I'm not going to call a bunch of House members to come to the Senate as part of oversight. Now, if you're a House member and you participated, you're not subject, you're not above the law, but we're not going to turn the Senate into a circus. And I would tell Schiff, what you're doing is very dangerous for separation of powers here.
Just the idea of getting that information into the public view so that the public can start speculating, oh, why did Giuliani call this one? And why was John Solomon on the phone with Giuliani?
Adam Schiff is doing a lot of damage to the country, and he needs to stop. Mueller spent 2 years and...
Yep, pretty sick. I didn't like what he had to say there. I just don't understand why Graham will not fight back. It led me to want to do a lot more research to show you some clips where we saw him do some really strange things at funerals where he was caught. I don't want to get into that. This news segment would be way too long. He deserves a whole just breakdown of who I think he really is some other time, and it's just me. Here we go. Q3656. We have this Twitter post. What happens when people don't conform to their rule? What happens when people cannot defend themselves? And I'm going to read the rest after watching the clip here.
呢個係交通警啊！佢掹槍啊！佢掹槍！喂！啱啱去開槍啊！
That was really awkward to watch there from Hong Kong, somebody getting shot. Let's read, why do the Dems want to abolish the Second Amendment? A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What did the framers of the Constitution fear the most? And you have the link to the Declaration transcript. And then we have a quote that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. We, the people, Q. Let's go to this next one. I'm going to keep that post up, and I saw this video from Hong Kong. Look at all of those people. They said there was up to 1 million folks this past weekend in Hong Kong doing peaceful protest once again. We go to another Q post, Q3657. It's a picture of Pearl Harbor. I like this flag post. It almost looks like there's a cross right there in the blue aspect. The White House said on National Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day, we solemnly reflect on the tragic events of December 7th, 1941, and honor those who perished while defending our nation. If you haven't seen the movie, it is a great movie to watch, the Pearl Harbor movie, if you haven't seen it. We're going to watch Getz take out Goldman.
Mr. Castro, have you ever tweeted anything at the president? No. Mr. Goldman, same question.
I have made a number of tweets in my private capacity before I came to this job when I was working in the media, yes.
Matter of fact, this is one of those tweets, right? And you said, nothing in the dossier is proven false, but in fact the dossier said that there was a Russian consulate in Miami when there isn't. The dossier said that Michael Cohen had a meeting in Prague when he didn't. The dossier said that Michael Cohen's wife was Russian. She's in fact Ukrainian. And so as we sit here today, where you've, I guess, got a tweet mentioning a P-tape, presenting yourself not as a partisan, hired by the Democrats to pursue the president, do you regret this tweet?
Sir, I would be happy to put this investigation up with any of the nonpartisan investigations.
I just want to know if you regret the tweet, Mr. Goldman.
During my 10 years as a federal prosecutor.
Do you regret it?
I hope you read the evidence, and I think you can judge.
You either regret it or you don't regret it, Mr. Goldman. I guess you don't want to answer the question.
Boom. Right there. Did you see his eyes when he saw that go up, that tweet of his blown up for everyone to see? Look at those eyes. That's brilliant. Oh, it's great to have folks fighting back against these evil sadistic liars. Here we go to the next one. This got a lot of play. A lot of folks, even my mom, was talking about it on the phone, how brilliant this takedown with Collins was to Goldman. Here we go.
That's a wonderful explanation, but not an answer to my question. Those are you looking for the 4 numbers you asked for and to see how they're connected. I understand the subpoena that you issued. My question directly, was it you or was it Chairman Schiff that said, while we're doing this, let's see if this matches Chairman Nunez's number. Let's see if this matches a member of the press's number. Somebody along the way just didn't all of a sudden have an epiphany, unless you're getting ready to throw a low-level staffer under the bus, that these numbers might match. So who did it? Was it Chairman Schiff or was it you? Be careful, you're under oath.
I know I'm under oath, sir.
Then answer the question.
Matter. And I will answer the question if you give me a second here. It's not a simple answer.
The same second that was not afforded to my witness, by the way.
Well, I think he was allowed.
Who decided to leak it, by the way? If you're not going to tell me the other story, while you're thinking about how you're going to answer that question, who decided to leak it? The information. Why did you include it in the report?
That's not a leak, sir.
Why did you include it in the report? After not saying anything else about this, not publicly known. So 2 questions are hanging out that everybody's looking for an answer for, including me. Who ordered it? Was it you or was it Chairman Schiff? And then why was it decided, except for nothing but smear purposes, to be included in the Schiff report?
Well, I'm not going to get into the deliberations of our investigation with you, and I will tell you the reason it was included in the report is because the calls were surrounding important evidence to our investigation. And I think that your question is frankly not better directed not at me, but at the people who were having conversations.
Oh, no, we're not going to play that game. No, we're not going to play that game. You're as good as Mr. Burke. You're not going to play that game. You're not answering the question. And every member of the media, everybody here, when you start going into the decorum of this house, when you start looking at members' telephone numbers, you start looking at reporters' telephone numbers, which they ought to be scared about, you took a subpoena for 4. And then you decided to play match game. You found numbers that you thought were like, some of them actually didn't exist because they claimed that they were for the White House Budget Office, and they were not. So we're throwing stories out there because nobody was out there acting. So I go back to my question. Are you going to go on record in front of everybody here today and say that you will not tell who ordered this, you or Mr. Goldman? Mr. Goldman, you or Mr. Schiff?
I am going to go on record and tell you that I'm not going to reveal how we conducted this investigation.
And that's the problem we have with this entire thing. Mr. Schiff said behind closed doors.
I can tell you what the importance is.
I'm done with you for right now.
I'm done with you for right now. I just love it. Now, I want to take a look at this one right here. Watch this this event right here as it plays out. See that? He's looking at Nadler, points to him, hey, hit that gavel. We don't want to hear this anymore, and hits it. Who's really controlling Nadler there? Let's go to this next one. A brilliant takedown with Waters World interview. While a biased POV shelters protects the host, the overall discussion, eyes on, generates awareness. Pay close attention to what's discussed here.
Conspiracy theory that's gathering momentum here in America. It's called QAnon. It first appeared online about 2 years ago. Its name comes from an anonymous guy claiming to have Q-level security clearance within the Trump White House. He posts online and has a very loyal following. Here to break this all down, Associate Professor of Political Science at the University of Miami, Joseph Yazinski. So, Professor, explain the essence of the Q belief system.
So this conspiracy theory started about 2 years ago on a dark website called 4chan, where people can post anonymously. And someone started posting under the name Q, and they claimed to have secret insider knowledge about a battle that was going on between Donald Trump against the deep state. And this deep state was made up of satanic pedophiles who were selling children into sex slavery. And that Donald Trump's presidency was really about dismantling this network of satanic pedophiles, which included Hillary Clinton and John Podesta, and then sending these people off to Guantanamo, where they would be tried for their crimes and then summarily hung. And then when that happened, it would be called the Great Awakening.
Okay. And isn't it also about the Trump fight with the deep state in terms of the illegal surveillance of the campaign, the inside hit jobs that he's sustained in terms of Comey and Mueller and Strzok and Page and all of that as well?
So there are many, many facets to this conspiracy theory, and one way to think about it is that it's a meta conspiracy theory where there are just lots of different conspiracy theories weaved together. So part of it was that Trump was really working with Mueller to fight the deep state. Some of it was about things that the deep state were doing to stop Trump. But a lot of it tracked current events, particularly during the Trump-Russia investigation, because many of the QAnon followers believed that this was just a deep state attempt to take out a sitting president who was really a Washington outsider.
Okay. And the reason I'm doing this segment is because one of my good friends, he's a Q guy. And he's always telling me, Q says this, you got to look into this, Epstein and everything, and it's all connected. And I thought we'd look into it, so that's what we're doing here. How many Q followers are there? And then I have one more question for you.
So when we poll on it nationwide, we don't get huge numbers. So we get about 10% of the population thinks that QAnon is a good thing. And as far as conspiracy
theories
goes...
That's a significant amount of the population. Is this all conservatives, or are there liberals involved, or how does it break down?
It's both, and a lot of people assume that it's a far right-wing conspiracy theory when in fact there isn't anything particularly Republican or conservative about the people that
Right.
follow it.
And then lastly, is Q Trump himself?
There's no way to know, and a lot of people have been accused of being Q. Some people think it's Trump. I've been accused of being Q. There's been a whole bunch of people who've been accused of being Q, but it's not me, and I doubt it's Trump.
Okay. All right, Professor, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So let's look at some of the key things that he pointed out in this interview. He didn't just say the pedophile word. He put them together. Satanic. He didn't just call them pedophile, he put it together. He also said children are sold into slavery for sex. There is a team of white hats. They're taking the deep state down. HRC and Podesta are satanic. They worship Satan. Our POTUS is an outsider and therefore needs to be taken out. Isn't that interesting that those were the key things that he wanted to make sure the public heard about, even though there's so much more being exposed? Way to go on that interview. Definitely feel like it was coordinated effort. We also saw the Q3663, corrupt, think Harvard, think tax break, think political career, corrupt, drain the swamp, Q, and that happens to do with this person right here. What is her nickname again? Does everybody remember? We can all shout it out. Maybe it's from a Disney show. I think it's Warren, Elizabeth Warren. I'm getting close. Anyway, we're going to skip it because we already looked at it before. Here's CoreyDiggs.com. Notice that she pointed out a great dig, a lot of work put into this article. Nader, Khawaja, Clinton's Pope Francis and elite coverage converge in UAE and Africa. Welcome to the jungle of elites, criminals, and Pope Francis, who all seem to have their eyes set on South Africa, while Russia and China run naval drills off the coast. It's an interesting intersection of events and individuals. What's more interesting is the timetable of recently indicted George Nader and Andy Khawaja, along with the Clintons and Pope Francis, that leads to the United Arab Emirates, who also have a big interest in South Africa. With the recent African proverb spoken by Pope Francis mixed in with cryptic messages of a new humanism, he is reinventing in a global pact. Highlighted by Hillary Clinton's similar African proverb used in her book, It Takes a Village. One wonders what plans are underway in Africa. One also wonders what was really brokered when the Pope visited the UAE earlier this year as the first ever pontiff to travel to the Arab Peninsula. While Bill and Melinda Gates strutted the streets of Cape Town, where Richard Branson's business recently sprung branches, Meghan and Harry took a 10-day tour. Even Twitter Jack is making a move to Africa to expand on Twitter and other technology ventures. And then this next part of the article, the indictment of George Nader, Ahmed Khawaja and 6 others for illegally funding Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign from a foreign country. The link to that full article is in the description box below. We're hitting into the 43rd minute of this news piece. Let's continue. Adam Schiff linked to Mossad in Son's t-shirt. Notice Q3666. Those are 3 6s all put together for a Mossad post. Notice in this picture that you have the Mossad on the Son's t-shirt for this particular picture right here. It actually appears that this sick man right here is part of the Mossad. I had to do some digging on Mossad and understand it a little bit more. Also on the left, we had Q3660, relevant to today, regarding F assets, deconstruction of foreign-controlled intel U.S. media, plus alt, a critical, untouchable regarding state-backed. Epstein thought so. Puppets and puppet masters. Q thought that he was going to be taken care of by the Mossad. MSM command structure is listed in that post Q1871, showing us all the media and how it's controlled. Let's continue below. So CIA whistleblower Jeffrey Epstein likely ran illicit honey trap operation for Israeli Mossad. Mossad is one of the 5 major intelligence agencies of the State of Israel. Its headquarters are in Tel Aviv, and while its size is not exactly publicly disclosed, it's thought to employ approximately 1,200 employees who are responsible for the nation's intelligence operations, covert actions, and counterterrorism. Many consider Mossad to be the most important part of the state's intelligence gathering agencies. One of the things that they are credited with is the Wrath of God. It began in 1972, covert operation directed by Israeli government and Mossad to assassinate individuals alleged to have been directly or indirectly involved in the 1972 Munich massacre. Their targets usually included members of Black September and PLO. Most of the assassinations were carried out by bombings. Let's look closer at this article from ZeroHedge.com, linked in the description box below. Also says that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad asset who was used by Israeli intelligence to blackmail American politicians, according to a former Israeli spy. Believing that Epstein planned to marry his daughter, Maxwell introduced him and Ghislaine, I apologize for saying it wrong, doesn't matter, it's Maxwell, to Ben Menashe's Mossad circle. Quote, Maxwell sort of started liking him, and my theory is that Maxwell felt that this guy is going for his daughter, Ben Menashe said. He felt that he could bless him with some work and help him out in like a paternal way. Israeli intelligence bosses gave the green light, and Epstein then became a Mossad asset. Quote, they were agents of the Israeli intelligence services, said Ben Menashe. When it became clear that Epstein wasn't very competent at doing much else, his primary role became blackmailing American and other political. Right here, we've got the White House posted yesterday. President Donald Trump delivered remarks at the Israeli-American Council National Summit.
After 8 long years in which our alliance was undermined and neglected, I am happy to report that the United States-Israeli relationship is stronger now than ever before. America and Israel are woven together by history, heritage, and the hearts of our people. We share a love of freedom, democracy, religious liberty, the rule of law, and national sovereignty, and we share that. The story of Israel is a tale of triumph. In the face of centuries of oppression and persecution, the Jewish people endured, persevered, and flourished beyond measure, building a thriving, proud, beautiful, and mighty nation in the Holy Land. The friendship between our countries is essential to achieving a more safe, just, and peaceful world.
Q916. We are saving Israel for last. Very specific reason not mentioned a single time. Q.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, we come to you now, thanking you for our president, for his family. We ask for continued protection over him, over his family, the leaders that are with him, that are supporting him. Strengthen them, Lord. Fill them with your Spirit. Give them, just surround them with just all of your heavenly angels, God, as we know that the enemy is on full attack mode, is in panic mode, and doing all that he can to stop what is happening. So we do ask you, Lord, for your support. We know in your word it says, come to me, all of you that are heavy laden, and that you will give us rest. We ask for rest and peace soon. We ask that you would destroy the cabal soon. We look forward to, Lord, seeing those that justice be served finally. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. If you like this video, please hit that like button and share. Share gets around the algorithm set up to destroy this channel, getting out to other folks. Thank you so much for your kind words of support, and also for going to our store. There's so many folks that are just picking up shirts and sweatshirts and hats and stuff, and we just love it. Thank you also to the patrons who continue to pour out their love and support and their hard-earned money to keep this channel moving along. It definitely helps. For now, until next time, this is LT with And We Know, signing out.